Hi there, this is David Salamons, the storyteller here. I've got a story for you that I absolutely love. It's called Mum and Ilie Nastase. And for those of you who don't know Ilie Nastase, try not to chat GPT it or Google it. Just hang on and you might find out what happens. So it's July 1972 and I'm 15 years old. I'm standing at my bedroom window on a brilliant summer's morning. And I'm looking down at the green fields behind my house, the London Green Belt, where we played football every weekend and most afternoons. Back then, football was our world. Tennis, not really for us. We played table tennis and cricket, but tennis belonged to another universe entirely. A universe of pressed whites and polite applause, of strawberries and cream and perfect manners. Yeah, that wasn't really where I belonged. Didn't work for me or most of my generation. So my dad and my granddad ran a small women's blouse company in Kilburn in North London. They called it Bridge Blouse Company. So we could tell people we worked for the BBC, my dad said. Dad never tired of that joke. The rest of us, we certainly tired of it. My mum had tuberculosis, TB, years before. She'd lost half her lungs. She was always short of breath and she was always in and out of hospitals. My poor old mum, something in her had dimmed. The light had gone out from her eyes, really. We barely spoke beyond essentials, just shared a house, but not really a life with her. Then, one extraordinary day in summer 1972, I'm thundering down the stairs, very teenagery. Mum's voice stops me. Darling, Wimbledon starts today. Watch it with me. I nearly dropped my football boots in shock. We hadn't done anything together in years. Something in her voice, maybe a note of hope. It made me stay. So there we are, side by side on the sofa, staring at our tiny little TV. The screen flickers to life. Perfect Wimbledon lawns, pristine whites, the reverent hush of the crowd. You know how it goes. Same old Wimbledon, old school. And then he appeared. On one side of the court stood not an athlete, but a rock star. Dark long hair falling across his face, moving like a panther about to pounce. Amazing guy. Every gesture was a rebellion against the tennis tradition, the tennis that we knew. Within 5 electric minutes, this guy, he had executed a behind-the-back return that kind of defied physics. He winked at a woman in the front row who blushed completely scarlet. We could see that on our TV. And he caught a falling ball boy with the casual grace of a circus performer. Who is this guy? I breathed at my mum. Ilie Nastase, she said, a Romanian, his first time at Wimbledon. Her voice carried an energy I hadn't heard in years, really. I turned to look at her. I mean, really look at her. You didn't do that with your mum, but I did. And I saw her eyes shining. Her cheeks were kind of flushed with colour. A smile played at the corners of her mouth. I barely recognised her. It was strange. This Romanian rebel somehow bridged that kind of silence there was between us. Over the next 2 weeks, we created a new ritual, Mum and me. I rush home from school or football. She'd have tea waiting. Naturally. Together, we'd watch Nastase storm through the tournaments. He played tennis like as he was inventing it on the spot. It seemed like a new game altogether, breaking every unwritten rule with magnificent abandon. I told my friends about it. They watched it as well. With every match, Mum seemed to come more alive. It's hard really to explain, but she did. Colour returned to her cheeks. Her laugh, a kind of sound I'd almost forgotten. It filled our living room. Did you see that shot? She would exclaim. Absolute magic. No one's ever played like this before. But was this really my mum? As Nastase advanced through the tournament, we became more and more excited. He defeated Jimmy Connors, who went on to become the enfant terrible. And then he He beat the great Manuel Orantes in the quarterfinals. The excitement in our house was building to something extraordinary, a kind of crescendo, when he reached the final against American Stan Smith. Well, even my father and my brother joined us. The entire family squashed together on our small sofa, watching this little TV, unified really for the first time in years by this shared anticipation. And then the skies opened. Rain pounded the Wimbledon courts mercilessly. We'd never seen this before. It was the first time in 89 years, go look it up, of tournament history, that this Wimbledon final would be postponed until the next day, the Sunday. Unprecedented, unheard of. Don't worry, Mum said, squeezing my hand. She didn't normally do that either. We'll watch tomorrow instead. Then she saw my face fall and remembered, oh no, your athletics meeting. I was devastated. After following Nastase's every move, after witnessing my mother's transformation match by match, I would miss the final. It seemed unbearably cruel at the time. I was scheduled to compete with my youth club the next day, Sunday, in an athletics meeting. Not that I cared about the 100-metre sprint. I was rubbish. Actually, if I'm honest, our entire club was terrible. I wasn't so much a big fish in a small pond as a minnow in a small, tiny puddle. But I couldn't really let them down. I couldn't not turn up. So the next morning, stomach churning with disappointment, well, I waited outside the youth club to be collected by one of the parents, as usual. Halfway through the car journey, I, rather sulkily, asked the dad where we were headed. Wimbledon Athletics Stadium, came the reply. What? My heart nearly stopped. Wimbledon Athletics Stadium, we would be less than a mile from centre court. From Nastase. Well, I failed spectacularly at running in a straight line. Well, the universe has a very strange sense of humour. And then something miraculous, unusual happened. Our team was eliminated in the first round. Not so strange. Never has athletic failure tasted quite so sweet. We sat on the grass pretending to be disappointed. We didn't care. When someone said, why don't we walk over and see the crowds going into the Wimbledon final? Why not? We had nothing else to do. Maybe hope flickered. At least I could be near the magic. I could be near Nastase, even if, well, I couldn't actually witness it. We wandered towards the All-England club, joining the throng outside the gates. As we loitered there, a dodgy man in a trilby hat approached us. Want to see the match, lads? He asked, eyes darting everywhere. Got no money, I said. It's free today, he said. Sunday tickets. They can't charge on Sunday. It's the law. Even at 15, I knew this sounded a bit weird. But sometimes in life, you follow the strange man in the hat. There's a rule to live by. He led us through a service entrance. It was amazing. Down a winding corridor that smelled of fresh paint and grass clippings. They cut it all for the final, turning left, then right. Then suddenly, impossibly, we emerged into the sunlight of the centre court itself. The roar of the crowd hit me like a physical force. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it. Thousands of people packed the stands. And there, on the pristine green rectangle below, was Ilie Nastase in the flesh, my mum's hero and mine a little bit as well. By some miracle, we found ourselves seated directly at the centre line with perfect views. I couldn't believe it was real. There I was, actually here, on this historic Sunday, witnessing what no one had seen in nearly a century, an adjourned Wimbledon final, played on the Sabbath day. Nastase and Smith battled through 5 gruelling sets. Each point was more dramatic than the last. I didn't sit once, too afraid this dream would shatter. It didn't seem real. In the final set, with everything on the line, Nastase attempted one of his signature drop shots. That was me doing it. The ball kissed the net cord, hung suspended in air for a heartbeat, and then fell back onto his side of the court. Game, set, match. Oh God, to Stan Smith. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others groaning. I felt, well, it's embarrassing, but I felt tears come to my eyes. It was ridiculous, but unstoppable. Nastase looked gutted. A rock star finally silenced. Hours later, I crept back into our house, my mind still replaying every point of the match. I found my mum in the living room, the television still on, showing highlights of this historic final. Dad and my brother had gone to bed. "Sit down, darling," she said, patting the sofa beside her. "Sit down. Let me tell you all about it." Her eyes were bright, her cheeks flushed with excitement. She looked, well, more alive than I'd seen her in years. As she described the match with animated gestures, well, she had no idea that I'd been there. As far as she knew, I'd spent that Sunday at the athletics, running in the stadium down at Wimbledon. I opened my mouth to tell her the truth, but something stopped me. This was her moment. I'd kind of had my moments, so I sat beside her and I said nothing, nodding and asking questions at the right moment. Letting her kind of relive it all through the telling. All these years later, I like to think, well, that Ilie Nastase and I, we share two things in common. We both shed a tear when we remember that historic Sunday final of 1972. And two, neither of us has ever won Wimbledon. Oh yeah, and three, I think it's fair to say, my mum loved both of us. I do hope you enjoy this story as much as I enjoyed telling it. Thank you. Thanks for joining me for another story that just needed telling. If you enjoy this tale, well, there are plenty more where that came from. From courtroom battles with music legends to life lessons learned at 35,000 feet. Each story here will change how you see the world. Just a little bit, maybe. Hit subscribe to catch the next story, because sometimes the best tales find you when you least expect them.